Welcome, Gunrunner.
Hello everybody, Q&A the Laird here, and I'm back with a magazine retrospective for you, and something very different, not a follow-up to any of my previous videos, like a lot of my more recent magazine reviews have been, magazine retrospectives even have been. This is something totally new in terms of the magazine and the format that it covers, because as you can see, this is Super Pro magazine, which is another one that I had in my huge bundle of magazines that I picked up some time ago now, which I'm still working my way through, believe it or not. For those who follow my channel, you might have seen me post various images of them, because there were so many. It was two big boxes basically, full of both British magazines and American magazines, which is really, really cool. So stuff for people on both sides of the pond. And everything as well. I mean, I had stuff, like the CDI in their magazines. I mean, randomly. So everything from like the Spectrum to the CDI in there, pretty much. A really eclectic bunch of magazines, but great for me and great for the channel because it gives me lots of different stuff to look at. As I say, I've still got some more stuff to work through. Like I've got some issues of Your Sinclair. I've got another SNES magazine. I think Super Action is it that I've got. I've got a CDI magazine, SWAT Pro. I can't remember what else. There's another one I think that I've got in there as well. The One is another one that I've got there for Amiga STPC. But yeah, the original version of the One. But there we go. We'll get to those in due course, but for now we are looking at Super Pro, and I have just 2 issues of this one, but more than enough to give you a flavour, I feel. So I have issue 5 there from April 1993, and this one must be older because I've noticed that that's $2.95, but this one's $2.25, so this one's a lot cheaper. Number 4 from March 1993. So actually, they're consecutive issues, but in 1 month, the price went up 70p, which is a huge difference. I don't know if it's that much bigger. It does feel a little bit bigger. It might be because it's got this dip special. But yeah, that's some price rise though in a month. Wow. Okie dokie. So this isn't an official magazine, as it actually says in small writing on the cover. Because I think the only official Nintendo one around that time was Nintendo Magazine System. I don't have any of those actually. It's probably one of the few magazines I don't have any copies of, for that matter. But there we go. So we'll have a look at both of these. So we'll start with the first one. We'll start with issue 4. So what we got? We've got a lovely cover with Bubsy on, and it's funny because Bubsy has become a kind of, I don't know, a character of ridicule, although they brought him back in recent years. But he's kind of this legendary ridiculed character. But a lot of that is actually because of Bubsy 3D, and I think people seem to forget that the first 2 Bubsy games that appeared on the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo were actually pretty good. They were reviewed well, and they were considered a decent alternative to Sonic at the time. I think what soured Bubsy's reputation, I say, was Bubsy 3D, but also the horrible Bubsy game for the Jaguar, Fractured Fairy Tales, which is a Jaguar exclusive, but yeah, you're not going to miss much because it is a terrible game. Even though I have a good friend who worked on it, but even he admits it's a terrible game. So there we go. Let's go into it. So we've got an advert there for good old Daytel and their action replay cartridges that helped you cheat on games. And we go into the contents. So we've got in this issue, we've got Alien vs Predator, we've got Star Fox, we've got California Games 2, Chester Cheetah, Balls Blazers, Lethal Weapon. Loads of good stuff actually in this issue in terms of games. So we'll go through. So we've got our news here. So talking about Psygnosis releasing some games for the SNES. We've got our best-selling kart chart, Super Star Wars at the top, followed by Tiny Toons and Soul Blazer. Super Mario Kart 4th there, Street Fighter 2 5th, Alien vs Predator, Wing Commander, John Madden, Mac 2, NCAA basketball. Surprised to see that one there actually. I wouldn't have thought that one there at all. Nintendo increasing UK presence, a way to play NES games on your Super Nintendo. Of course, the Super Nintendo was originally meant to be backwards compatible with the NES, and they pulled that feature at last minute. That's one reason why it has that. That's the choice of CPU in the Super Nintendo was so it could be backwards compatible with the NES. But the solution was these adapters. There's several different types of them. That's called the Super Deck, that one, which came from Asia. But essentially, they were literally just like an NES, a Famiclone inside a box that you plugged into your Super Nintendo. So, it was. They were quite bulky things. So you can probably, I don't know if you can see that well in the picture there, but they were quite bulky things because of that. So they weren't really helping your Super Nintendo to play NES games. They were just using it as a pass-through. So bobbling along. So that's a little preview for Bob. I've mentioned that in quite a few videos before because it seems to come up quite a lot. I never liked the game, but my younger brother loved it. It was like one of his favourite Mega Drive games. California Games 2 there, 69. What's interesting is about the Super Nintendo version of California Games 2 is that it has a jet ski stage using mode 7, which is unique to the well, there is a jet ski stage on other versions, but that mode 7 style one is unique to the Super Nintendo, so it's kind of a reimagining of that existing stage. It kind of did it slightly differently on the SNES. California Games 2 is okay, but it's not patched in the first game. Combat Tribes, they gave it 63. I really like Combat Tribes. I'm quite surprised at that. I actually really, really like that. I play it quite a lot on my Evercade. Warp Speed 69. That's an Accolade game, wasn't it? Yeah, Ballistic, yeah. Imperium 60. I can't say I've ever heard of Imperium, actually. Doesn't ring a bell. Jackie Crush, which I believe is basically like a the same series as Devil Crush, yeah, by Naxat, yeah. But that's a SNES one. Very good game. They gave it 76. I'll give it a lot more than that. It's a great game. NBA All-Star Challenge, which is a kind of 2-on-2 basketball game. Another way to rinse the NBA license for Acclaim. I think they released that on the NJN label, but they gave it 55. If you're inclined to agree, it's a really crap game, to be honest. There's not much to it. It's not a proper basketball game. It's just kind of a dunk contest, really. It's not great. Chester Cheetah, Too Cool to Fall, 79. Can't say I've ever played it, but then I'm not a big fan of platform games. Mac 2, yeah, it's alright. It's probably spot on with that score. Fist of North Star. I've never played that actually. It looks like a pretty generic one-on-one fighter. They thought so. Rushing Beat 2. Scrolling beat 'em up. I've not played that either actually. I'd quite like to try it because I love scrolling beat 'em ups. But they only gave it 62. They seem to be quite harsh on the review scores actually. Pretty much, I think every game we've looked at so far has got I don't think we've had any that have got a high score. I think the highest was in the 70s, wasn't it? Alien vs Predator. I have played that because I remember when it came out and I was working at Game, and we had it on our demo unit for quite a while, and I thought it was rather disappointing. I thought it was a bit of a waste of the license. They probably agree there a bit. Super Tetris 2 and Bomb Bliss, that is great. They gave it 85, but then you give that a one-page review. So the really good game, you give a one-page review, and all those crap games get two-page reviews. How strange. Stateside, there's Spectacular. So lots of stuff that's coming out, like The Humans, Jurassic Park, Hit the Ice, Aladdin, Aero the Acrobat, Super James Pond, Tom and Jerry there, Super WrestleMania 2, Untouchables, Super Turrican. So lots of good games there on the way. Star Fox 96, not surprised to see that. I don't think Star Fox has aged that well because the frame rate's pretty shocking. I never thought it was the most amazing game, but then I think one of the reasons why is because by the time I played Star Fox, I think it was around the same time I played Cybermorph on the Jaguar. I think that's when I finally got to play Star Fox. I think Star Fox would have impressed me more if I hadn't already played Cybermorph. I only had one friend with a SNES back then. Most of my friends had Mega Drives in that generation. I knew the one person with a SNES. They didn't have that many games because they also had other systems like they had an ST and a links as well. So racing rundown. There's some quite good racing games on the Super Nintendo. F1 Exhaust Heat. That's what I've played. I remember quite liking that. Racing Pro-Am and Mario Kart. All sorts there. Top Gear. Top Gear is great. That's really good. Super Off-Road, of course, is really good. So the King of Rally. I can't say I'm familiar with that, but I like racing games. That sounds interesting. 69 though, they weren't massively keen. Now, the Dual Test Drive 2, I love that game. They liked it too, 89. I'm pleased to see that get a good score. I've always felt that Test Drive 2 is massively underrated, to be honest. So we'll go to tips and cheats. Does it strike Mickey Mouse? Some stuff for Street Fighter 2. And snappy shorts. So that's a short tips and cheats there. Soul Blazer. This is their big tips and cheats guides then. A guide to SimCity. That's a big one, that one. Loads more. Little tips and cheats. Action replay codes. Super savers. So there's some stuff you can buy. Letters. In the future now. Got Lethal Weapon review. I've not played that actually. It's by Ocean, wasn't it? Yeah, it was 76. I've heard it's pretty meh. Same with Blues Brothers. Not played that either, I have to say. Balls vs Blazers. I loved those games. I had Balls vs Lakers is the one I had on the Mega Drive, and I really liked it. But there was all of those, that whole series. They would just put the two teams that were in the NBA playoffs that year on the name of the front. Later they changed it. I think NBA Live, did they call it later on? Much later on. What, 32-bit generation? 79. I quite liked it. PJ Tour Golf Classic 85. Yep. Game guide. So this is like stuff I've seen they've already reviewed. Yeah, it tells you what issue they reviewed it in. So that's always good. A bit like Game Zone did actually at the back of their magazine. But I think it was the same people who made this as made Game Zone, because they made Sega Pro, so I'm sure it's Super Pro as well. So it's the thing they carried across. So yeah, pretty cool issue, that one. And here we go, issue 5. Actually, I'll pull that one out of the way. So on the cover there we have Shooting Stars, Shooting Ups Blasted Apart. So it's not a specific game on the cover. We've got reviews of First Samurai, Battletoads, Battle Maniacs, Mech Warrior, Exhaust Heat 2. So yes, not probably as big a lineup as the last issue, but still plenty of good stuff to have a look at. So preview says talk about that NES adapter things again. You've got a better photo of it this time. The best-selling games has changed very little. So there's not much point in reading that out again. From one issue to the other, it doesn't seem to have really changed at all, to be honest. Put a little stick on your SNES controller if you want, but they were never really a thing. Bit rubbish, really, to be honest. Technocop, is that there? Looks like it. Oh no, it's Outlander. It looks a bit like Technocop, but no, it's Outlander. My mistake. Big in Japan. So some new fighting games and stuff coming out there. So here is some Bubsy again, official preview. And Battle Maniacs. And into the reviews. So Mech Warrior. Good game that actually. Yeah, they liked it as well, 90. I thought that was good. Sandra's Big Adventure. Can't say I've ever played that, but they liked it. Kiki Katai. Kiki Katai? Yeah, they liked that as well. I can't say I've ever heard of that. Certainly not played it. Tom and Jerry, I have played that. I thought it was pretty generic. So did they, 58. First Samurai, that's a great game. They're 70. But I have to say, I haven't played the SNES version of First Samurai. I played it on the ST. I thought the ST version was great. Exhaust Heat 2. A good game from what I remember. 74 they gave it. Northern Dreams. So this is looking at Is it Magitech Design? It is. Yes. Oh wow! I'll have to scan that in and send it to some of my friends who worked there. I have to say I didn't notice this when I flicked through this magazine before, but I'm sure they'll be interested to see this. Very cool. Because I did a big article on Magitech Design for Retro Gamers some years ago, and I got to know quite a few of the people who worked there. That's quite cool to see, obviously, with a preview for the humans there as well. Shooting Stars. This is their shoot 'em ups feature. Axelay, that's probably my favourite SNES shooter. I think it's probably most people's. It's really, really good game. Really good. EDF's pretty good actually. I quite like that. They didn't like it though. I remember that being good. Super Aleste, Phalanx, Strike Gunner, Super R-Type, that's good. 78, Super Swiv, Hunt for Red October, Cyvalion, Super Smash TV, classic. Love Super Smash TV. UN Squadron as well, another great one. Super Smash TV, the SNES version is so superior to the Mega Drive one. I don't often say that, being more of a Sega fanboy, but the SNES version is so much better. The Mega Drive version is pales in comparison. The Mega version is alright, but the SNES version is so much better in terms of everything, but especially the controls. The controls in the Mega Drive version don't work particularly well, and the SNES version is brilliant. Spider-Man the X-Men Arcade's Revenge. This is the tips bit. We've got Star Fox tips, following on from the review in the last issue. Soul Blazer. More. Action replay. There's their subscriptions thing. There's their letters pages. Karen as art. Very strange. Interplay's terrific trio, Rock and Roll Racing, Claymates and Lord of the Rings. Did Lord of the Rings even come out? I certainly don't remember that game coming out. I'm pretty sure it didn't. Release dates for various stuff. Magic Sword. I love Magic Sword. It's one of my favourite Super Nintendo games because my younger brother had a friend who had a Super Nintendo, and we swapped our Mega Drive for his Super Nintendo for a week. And he only had 3 games. One of them was Magic Sword, and that was the only one I played really. The other 2 games he had were Street Fighter 2 and Mario World. But the only one I liked playing was Magic Sword, so I played that all the time. I couldn't wait to get my Mega Drive back because we have so much better games. But I loved Magic Sword, and I did play a lot of it. Super Battle Tank, which I didn't particularly like. Super Pang, Pang's good, 75. That's it, and then the reviews bit at the back, and that's it. That's my look at Super Pro with these 2 issues. Obviously I've got no real nostalgia for this magazine because I didn't own a Super Nintendo back in the day. I only had one friend who had one, and he only had it for a while. He didn't have a Super Nintendo for that long because he got one quite late, and then he got a Jaguar. I don't even think he might have had his Super Nintendo for about a year maybe. And then he got a Jaguar when the Jaguar first came out. And as I say, he had other machines as well, like he had a Lynx, which was his main, I think, system that he used to buy games for the most because of it being portable. But yeah, that's it. So I don't have any mega nostalgia for the Super Nintendo like a lot of people do, or its magazines, but I'm sure there are people out there who used to read Super Pro back in the day and have memories of it. So if you do, I'd love to hear your views and comments. So get typing, let me know if you bought Super Pro, what you thought of it, what your memories are of it. I've been the Laird. I thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you all for another video very soon. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.